Okay, some people don't understand what I'm doing here. I don't understand what I'm doing here. But when you hear God call you, you have to come and do what He asked you to do. So today, I want to talk about God's wrath. What is God's wrath? Well, God is our Father. And when we misbehave, He disciplines us. Some are harsher than others. Some are lighter than what we expect could happen. But the Bible tells us a lot. It really does. And understanding it, each and every one of us may have a different interpretation. But the interpretation is there because God puts it there for you to learn. Amen. For you to say what you have to say. And in His wrath, we're going to start with the very first one of them all. Ladies, don't be offended, but you are the cause of our problems. If it wasn't for you women, us men would not do the things we do. But God bless you that you're here. Because without you, we wouldn't exist. First, we're going to start off with Genesis chapter 3, 4. It's kind of funny because, and the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. For God doth not know the day ye eat therefore, that their eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree be desired to make one wise, she took from the fruit, therefore, and did eat it, and gave it also unto her husband with her, and he did eat it. See, right there explains it, right off the bat. Why does she do this? Does she not realize God told them, do not eat from the tree of life? They don't understand the consequences of what could happen when you do this. She'd rather follow the serpent and what he said. Now, as we all know, the serpent was the devil himself, Satan, the great deceiver. By following the great deceiver, she defied God, not realizing that God is going to punish you. And the payback that comes with that is something nobody wants to face. When you look at the scriptures and you really look in depth, yes, God is a loving God. He loves us all. But He has His reasons for His commands. He has His reasons why we should follow Him. But she didn't. And Adam didn't. When Eve fell for the serpent's lies, so did Adam. For Adam so loved her that he believed her. He followed her. What did they not do? They did not listen to God. Therefore, His wrath is about to come. And the Lord God said, Behold, the man is become as one of us, to know God and good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand, and take also of the tree of life, and eat, and live forever. Therefore the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden, to till the ground with whence he was taken. So he drove out the man, and placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubim and a flaming sword which turned every way, to keep the way of the tree of life. So their punishment from His wrath, His discipline, was you will no longer be in the Garden of Eden. You will no longer know paradise at this time. He sent them out. They had to fend for themselves. The food was not given to them. It was not grown for them. They had to grow their own food. They had to find their own way. They had to find their way back to understand what they'd done, how they'd done it, and how to fix it. Pleasing God's easy. But when you lose your way and you listen to the serpent, you're going to get punished. Now, I'm a sinner, same as everybody in here. I've done things I should have never done. I'll admit that. I try to be a better Christian every day. It's hard in this world. But if we don't listen and we don't hear that voice, we will be punished. The next one we want to go to is Genesis 4, 7 through 13. We're going away from Adam and Eve, and then we're going to go to Cain and Abel. Why Cain and Abel? The ultimate betrayer between brothers. We all know the stories. In Cain and Abel, I'll start with 4 and 7. If thou does it well, shall thou not be accepted. And if thou does not well, sin lieth at the door. And until thou shalt be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel, his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him. Why?
Next slide.
Oh, next slide, sorry.
There you go.
My fault. Why did he slay him? He was jealous. Jealousy is the root of evil. When you get jealous of someone and you get so upset that you're willing to destroy them, to kill them, to take their life from them for no reason, but you think that God's shining down on them better than He is you. Why? God gives us reasons to do what we do. God has a path for each and every one of us. So now, what will his fate be? He has now gone against God when all he had to do was love thy brother. Be there for him. Ask God why. Why do I feel like you're giving him more favor? It wasn't he was giving him more favor. It's that he wanted all the attention of God to himself. It's not right. People have to look at what they do. Every action, God's got a reaction for you. He knows what you're going to do before you do it, because he knows what's in your heart. And he decides what your punishment shall be. Like I said, God's a loving God. But he also has the Father side to where his wrath is his discipline. Trying to open your eyes. Trying to make you see, don't do this. Don't go down that path. But because of free will of man, we make mistakes. Some are greater than others. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of the brother's blood creweth from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from my hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto the Lord, My punishment is greater than I can bear. Really? Do you think his punishment was more than he could bear? No. He once was a great farmer. He could anything he wanted to grow, any field, he could grow it. But what did he do? He was jealous of his brother. So he killed him. Struck him down. The blood on the ground. Does the punishment fit the crime? I believe it does. Why? Because if you're going to do something you shouldn't do, you better be ready to face the punishment. By killing his brother and letting his blood spill into the ground, showed God that he had no remorse, no caring, by making the statement, Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, you are your brother's keeper. You should be there for your brother, for your sister, for all children of God. So he went from being a great farmer to not being able to grow one thing, not one seed. He had to depend on others to survive. God's wrath is not something to joke around with. He speaks to each and every one of us every single day. You just have to listen. Sometimes we're blinded by television, video games, computer games. We don't hear the message. But we feel the punishment in our everyday lives. Where you ask, why is this being done to me? It's being done to you because you did not listen. And believe me, I am guilty of that. More than one time. Just ask my wife, she'll tell you. All right, now we're going to move on to Genesis 6, 16 through 22. Going to go to one of the greatest stories of all, Noah. A window shalt thou make to the ark, and in the covenant shalt thou finish it above. And the door of the ark shalt thou set inside. Therefore, with lower second and third stories shalt thou make it. And behold, I even do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is beneath of life, the breath of life, From under heaven, and everything that is on the earth shall die. Wow. Is that harsh punishment? Is that a wrath of God? Is he really mad at humankind? They have done so much. Why would he do such a thing? Why would he want to destroy everything on the earth except a few people and the animals he wanted to save? Simple. They did not listen.
Sin.
They would rather do as the serpent and sin against the Lord. They wanted to have orgies. Do what they want to do. Worship gods. Worship idols. Is that right? No. So God decided, you know what? I've tried other punishments. It doesn't seem to work. Let's try this one. For 40 days and 40 nights, it's going to rain. It's going to come down. And there's going to be nothing left. And it's up to Noah and his family to help replant the seeds in this earth. Which they done. But for 40 days and 40 nights. Can you imagine being outside that ark knowing that if you help them, hearing the people scream, that God's wrath is going to come down on you? People begging to get on the boat, but you have a covenant with God. So you have to look and say, is doing this, what God tells me to do, more important than saving these people? Could you make that choice? Noah did. And I'm sure that was the hardest choice he had to make. But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come to the ark, and thy sons and thy wife, and thy sons of wives with thee. And every living thing and all flesh, to every sort, shalt thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. Thou shalt be male and female, of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing on the earth after his kind. 2 of every shout shall come unto thee, to keep them alive, and to take unto thee all the food that is eaten, and shalt gather it to thee. And it shall be for food for thee, and for them. Thus did Noah, according to all that God commanded him, so he did. Noah done the right thing.
Yes, he did.
For he knew the punishment and the wrath of God. would be greater than he could really bear. Why was Noah chosen? Of all the people on earth, why did God choose Noah? God knew Noah was a holy man. He breathed and lived his word. He would not do anything to sin against God to bring his wrath down upon him and his family. He done everything he could. Noah, by bringing all the animals up on the ark that he's told to bring, brought the beauty that we see today around us. The animals we go to see that they had zoos. If you go to a zoo to see an animal, thank Noah. Because if it wasn't for Noah bringing them on the ark, they would not be there. Each and everything we do, when we walk outside and we see the beautiful sun, the birds flying, even the snakes that people are scared of, then the ants and the birds and the bees, are all thanks to Noah. Because by Noah bringing each one of them on, a male and a female, to keep them alive, because God told him to do so.
I don't know if I want to thank him for the ants.
Yeah, the ants could go. But you know what? Without the ants, who would be the bottom
Amen.
feeders?
Mosquitoes.
So as with Noah, was a brave man. He really was. Because he had to live on the ark, had to share his food with the animals, knowing that if a lion was hungry enough, or a tiger, he could just snatch him up like that and say, well, I got me a meat sandwich. But God didn't let that happen. God did not punish him. God punished the earth. And he gave us the one thing out of the whole story that is more beautiful every time I see it. And that's his promise of the rainbow.
Amen.
Every time it rains, I look for a rainbow. And I've seen doubles and triple rainbows. And it's a beautiful sight every time I see it. And I just think back to God's promise that he will not flood the earth again. Next, we're going to Numbers. And I'm pretty sure everybody knows the story of Moses. We're going to number 20, verses 8 through 12. Take the rod, and gather thou assemble together thou, and Aaron thy brother, and speak ye unto the rock before thy eyes. And it shall give forth his water, and it shall bring forth to them water out of the rock. So shalt give the congregation and their beasts drink. And Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he commanded. And Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock, and he said unto them, Hear now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? And Moses lifted up his hand, and with the rod he smite the rock twice. The water came out abundantly, and their congregation drank, and their beasts also. And the Lord spoke unto Moses and Aaron, Because you believe me not, to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore ye shall not bring this congregation into the land I give them. Wow. Moses, who led them out of Egypt, who brought the 7 plagues on to the Pharaoh, will not step 1 foot, or his brother Aaron, onto the land of milk and honey. Not 1 foot. Because the Lord told him to strike the rock 1 time with the rod. He struck it twice. And instead of giving the glory to God, because God commanded him to do this, him and his brother took the glory all to themselves. What greater punishment than to sit there and lead your people through years of going through the sand till you come to the place God has promised you, and you can't set 1 foot on it because you disobeyed Him. You can see it You can smell it. You can taste it in the air. But you'll never know the pleasure of walking that ground. Free men. The land that the Lord has promised you. Because you did not listen to God. That's harsh. To sit there and look. But you know what? The crown fits the punishment. When God commands you to do something, you give the glory to Him. You don't take it upon yourself. Because the minute you take it upon yourself, you're saying, you're as great as He. You're not. I'm not. I'm a long way from being there. I strive to be there. As we all do. One day, we'll all be right there with God. But until then, we have to listen. Not only with our minds, with our hearts, with our souls. Listen what He has to tell you. Because if you don't listen, you're not going to know what He wants you to do. Which in turn brings down God's wrath. I don't know about you, but I've done things in my life I look back and I kind of laugh at, but I regret. Like, wow, I was really stupid for doing that. And the punishment I got for it, at the time I thought was unfair. But as I look back, it really was fair. Because I did the crime, I got to do the time. So when God puts something on your plate, He's not putting it on your plate because He wants you to fail. He's putting it on your plate because He knows you can do it. But He also knows there's a chance you're going to mess up and defy Him. But that's where free will comes in. Because sometimes pride overtakes what we should do. And it happens. And we've all slipped. I know I have. I know my wife has. My mother-in-law. Of course, I know Richard and Glenn have.
We all have.
We all have. Because it's human nature. But that's the way God intends it. He gives us free will so we can decide what we need to do. Do we listen to Him and stay on His good side? Or do we step over here and say, no, I'm hard-headed today. I know better. And face what He has to, His wrath. Me personally, I try to stay out of that section because I really don't want to deal with that. Because His wrath is more than I really want to deal with. Okay, we're going to finish up today. There we go. Deuteronomy. Chapter 9, verses 6 through 8. Understand therefore that the Lord giveth thee not this good land to possess, if for only righteousness, for thou art a stiff-necked people. Remember and forget not how thou provokest the Lord thy God to wrath in the wilderness, from the day that thou didst depart out of the land of Egypt, until ye came unto this place. Ye have been rebellious against the Lord. Also in Horeb ye provoked the Lord to wrath. To wrath. So that the Lord was angry with you to have destroyed you. Transgression into the land which I have given them. So Moses and the people were given the land. They finally made it to the land after, what was it, 40 years out in the desert. They made it. Moses sees it, but knows that God's saying, see, this is what you could have been. But instead, you're to go back, because thou will pass away. When you look at everything, the land was there. But because of their defiance, it's not completely theirs. That's why they still have the problems today with Palestinians, the Palestinians. still today they struggle, they fight because they disobeyed God. With idols, with parties, with orgies that they knew better. But because they were the chosen people, they thought, well, you know what? We can get away with it. Moses ain't coming back down. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And there ain't nothing God's going to do about it. Well, guess what? They're still having problems today. I would love to see it resolved just as everyone in this room. We are all children from Israel. We are all God's people. We were chosen to follow God. He created us to follow Him, to be here for Him. But instead, people turn their backs. They disobey and they don't listen, which brings down His wrath. It's not a good feeling to sit there and you look and you really look and you're saying, yes, God's a loving God, but He has a fatherly side that when He brings that wrath down, I don't want to be there for it. We're going to make mistakes. He knows that. He fits the punishment to the crime. If it's something minor, yeah, it's going to be a little minor. You may not understand it, but God understands it, and so does Jesus. And as long as you keep your faith, you keep showing love for God, and you don't complain about your punishment. I understand, Lord, I messed up. I'm taking your wrath. Do what you will. God's going to love you. And He's going to make it easier on you. But the minute you turn your back on Him, I would not want to be in your shoes. I'll be back in another month to do my second part. I've got 3 parts to this. So I'm using the verses in the Bible that I feel are the most important to me, that I feel really speaks the message. And you couldn't start off better than with Adam and Eve. I hope you all enjoyed this today. May God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for coming. We hope to see you again back next week.